there have been stories written about a certain individual, a male, and they say he's the whistleblower. If he's the whistleblower, he has no credibility because he's a Brennan guy, he's a Susan Rice guy, he's an Obama guy, and he hates Trump, and he's a radical. Now, maybe it's not him, but if it's him, you guys ought to release the information. I think that the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans have been incredible. I don't think there's ever been unity like we have right now. We had 195 or so votes. We didn't have one negative vote. The only one that had negative votes on the whole impeachment scam were the Democrats. I think Nancy Pelosi has lost her mind, and I think, frankly, that she should go back home to San Francisco. If you look at what's happening to her district is going to hell with homeless, that they're not taking care of, with needles all over the street, with tents, with people, with sanitation, with horrible things being washed into the ocean, into the Pacific Ocean. I think Nancy Pelosi, her district has probably gone down more than any district proportionately in the United States. And what she's done for that district, and then on top of it, you got fires eating away at California every year because management is so bad. The governor doesn't know, he's like a child. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I've been telling this for 2 years. They've got to take care of it. Every year, it's always California. It's rarely somebody else or someplace else. But Nancy Pelosi ought to go back to her district and take care of it because her district has become a mess. Number one in the country for going down. All she thinks about is impeachment, but she doesn't want to impeach. You know who wants to impeach? The people that run the party, the radical left.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, it looks as though Q is back. The 8 Coon boards are up and running, and Q has been posting. What we're going to talk about here today gives us a great insight into what is to come, what is ahead, and I can tell you right now that Q has an important message for us to dive deeper into. Plus, we're going to look at a bunch of other breaking news stories, so you guys are going to want to stick around and check out this episode. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you. Yes, thank you to each and every one of you who has come and hit that subscribe button here on the main landing page. If you guys haven't done it, look, it's a really simple, easy way to help the channel out. It doesn't cost you anything. Just come here, click the subscribe button, and let YouTube know that you are here watching this content. Also hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. This is how we defeat the suppression algorithms at YouTube. So make sure you go hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And yes, today we do have brand new Q posts. We're going to cover those Q posts plus a whole bunch of other breaking news stories. So you guys are going to want to stick around. We're going to talk about exactly what Q's telling us and what may be being insinuated there in the latest post. But before we do that, I always encourage everyone, please come back here to the landing page. Watch these last videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way because like I said, there is a suppression algorithm and it is set to keep this content away from the public. As Q has said, we are the news now because we are doing what the mainstream fake news won't do. We are telling the truth as we know it by asking the questions that matter. And that's really what's most important about what we're doing here. So look, you guys share these videos. Hit the share button on this video, put it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you have, share it, get it out there. And if you're scratching your head, you're new to all this, going, what's QAnon, what's Great Awakening, what's this guy talking about? Watch this video right here, what is QAnon, the Great Awakening, share that on your social media, get the word out that way. Now, let's get right into it. Well, as far as we know, this is the new Q posting. Now, I guess it's the same Q. I'm still waiting to hear back from some people, maybe to see if this is all, actually Q, because there's some issues with the 8 Coon website. 8 Coon is up. Q's been posting, but there are definitely some bugs that are being worked out, and it seems that the website's kind of intermittently working. And all I can see from my perspective on what I'm trying to do as far as following all this is that you can't really make posts right now. It seems like the boards are frozen. that might just be that they shut them off. But anyway, at some point, Q was able to get on there and post, and a lot of people are kind of in a holding pattern waiting for confirmations on who this new Q poster is. I'm going to go ahead and say at least this information that we're going to cover here today is not really that controversial as much as it is enlightening. And, we're going to kind of cautiously move forward. But I can tell you right now, it seems as though this is Q who is posting. So with that in mind, putting that out front as a caveat for that, let's just kind of get right into it. First of all, Q's last post was on August 1st, 2019, Q post 3570. We've been in a holding pattern since, and now 93 days later, exactly, Q comes back and posts this, BAS test 2. And I'm assuming that these are tests being conducted by Q as far as testing the security of the new 8kun.net platform for, posting these drops. So what we have right now is a few basically security tests, checking with the board, securing the comms. Here's just different security and presumably routing configurations. I'm not sure. A lot of this is kind of not really meant for anons. It's meant for other people who are running the boards. But that being said, obviously they're testing the comms, and Q comes back, starts signing Q with the same handle right here. So, we're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out. But right now we're just going to kind of take these with a grain of salt. I'm going to talk about them. Then we're going to talk about some of the news stories. And we're just going to keep following this because this seems to be the new 8kun board being up and Q posting. Now, there's a lot of significance to what Q posted, and we're going to get into that. First thing Q posts, obviously, is Q post 3573 here, which is this video. It's a 2-hour video of an American flag waving. Obviously, just a symbol of patriotism and pride in our country, and the fact that we're back, and this is basically, I think it's like symbolic. It's Q planting the flag back on this 8kun board, saying that we are now going to, commence forward with the operation that had been ongoing, the plan, as it were, or has been called. So following the plan, that was the first post from Q. Then the second post with, that's meant for anons, I guess you could say, is really important, I think. 3 Days, 3 Nights, the Twitter account, you guys probably know him. We've talked about them on this channel before, and they point this out very aptly, I should say, as soon as Q came back. It says, 8kun.net live today. 93 days dark since Q post 3570. Last time Q posted was August 1st at 7:54 p.m. You take 7:54 p.m. and go to November 1st at 7:54 p.m. until November 2nd at 7:53 p.m. That's exactly 93 days of dark. And this goes back to older Q posts, if you guys remember 3525, where it showed this picture from James Comey's Twitter of him standing in a cornfield, of all places, because they keep talking about corn, which that has some meaning to it as well. And we'll talk about that in a second. But this was talking about the 93 days of dark that we just went through, apparently. That's what it would seem to be. Of course, it talks about this other one going to 3570, the C before D, codes before D class. The month of August, traditionally very hot, you more than you know. This is kind of, it's showing us the time difference, right? But think about this as well. To go a little deeper into this post, there's actually another thread that was put together back in July of 2019 by the same account, 3 Days, 3 Nights, who obviously they do great work. We've covered them here on the channel, I think a few times at least. And they are one of the people, I think, who have been putting together a lot of the pieces, along with many others, in the absence of Q. And here is one of their decodes. This is back, I'm sure, this actually was when Q was still posting. But they talk about the Comey corn thing, right? And what they say is that they found something interesting, that Comey made his first cornfield post on 10/20/17. Then he made his second cornfield post on 6/16/18. The gap was exactly 240 days between, right? Those were his two corn quotes. So think about it this way. 10/20/17 is exactly 8 days, I believe, before Q first posted, right? So think about that and think about where we've come since Q has been posting. Goes on to say, today we had a Q post referencing Comey's cornfield tweet, and we had Nunes also make his corn tweet. Let's assume these are markers. Since the two Comey corn tweets were 240 days apart, let's go back 240 days from today, which I guess would be the Devin Nunes tweet, saying, and then we get November 30th, 2018. It says, now we must read Q posts from 11/30/2018. It turns out many of them, there are many that tie in with Mueller and Comey. Q post 2513, 11/30/18, Mueller working for pardon on Uranium One acting. Q post 2509, 11/30/18, Comey shaking in his boots about leaks about Huber and Clinton Foundation leaker. And then it goes on to talk about how Q post 2522, George H.W. Bush just happened to die on 11/30/18, and what are the odds of that? And then it basically goes on to say that there are no coincidences. And of course, then it talks about Hannity and his mention of the boomerang and the boomerang week coming. And then if you go back on that same day, that was when Pence was photographed with, or Q was talking about Pence being photographed with the Broward County Sheriff, I believe, who had the Q patch on his uniform. So if you think about it all and you put it all together, you have that 240 day gap, and then that seems to be some sort of way how they communicate. You know, a lot of the stuff here, guys, I know is kind of putting things together that may not seem 100% able to be tied together directly with 100% certainty, but I can tell you that that's the way that these people work. The most part, or the biggest way that they communicate is with these hidden messages, and then it all has to do with time and dates and this and that. So I don't know what this is necessarily all building up to. I know that this is an interesting thread that kind of breaks that down from the same account that Q just posted here today, who's been doing good work on this and, trying to expose and get the information out there. But that's pretty much where we start. And then the next thing is this Say Win LA account, who actually points this out, saying the veteran mob prosecutor John Durham was not appointed by AG Barr. Durham served as interim U.S. attorney since October 28, 2017, after Sessions appointed him. Coincidentally, the same day Q began posting. President Trump nominated Durham as U.S. attorney on November 1st, 2017. And then they use an expletive and they say that it's happening. Well, yeah. If you think about it, John Durham, obviously, the facts are it wasn't Attorney General Barr who brought John Durham up. It was Jeff Sessions who appointed him on the same day that Q started posting. So there are no coincidences. This is all connected. This is all, as we've talked about before, these have been ongoing investigations that have been going on for years now, right? They've been building up their cases. They've been getting the evidence. And a lot of this has to do with the theories, I think, that go around that say, what would prevent Barack Obama, upon leaving office in January of 2017, what would prevent him from issuing pardons on his way out? Apparently, this was something that all presidents did. So we had to get them for crimes that they committed after the fact. Now, you can't pardon certain things, and that was pointed out. Presidential pardons only apply to certain things. I don't think they would apply to like treason or anything like that. So there is that caveat as well. But consider this, that if they did pardon themselves for all the financial crimes, the embezzling, the extortion, the blackmail, international trafficking, all that stuff, then we would have to have a way to establish cases against these people based off of crimes that they've committed after being pardoned, right? Not to mention putting together cases that would go toward things like treason, which wouldn't be applicable for the presidential pardon, I believe. So this is how you have to understand this, I think. And this is what Q, I think, wants us to kind of start to kind of grasp. One of the only posts where you hear anything about John Durham is this one post, but it's a very telling post, guys, from July of 2019. Q says this: Attorney General and Rogers meeting? Durham and Rogers meetings? Why did Rogers retire? Why did Rogers visit POTUS at Trump Tower without authorization shortly after Skiff was installed? Why did select former ABC directors call for the removal of Rogers? Why did POTUS move his Transition Command Center base of operations from Trump Tower the very next day? Q. So think about this. President Trump's sitting in Trump Tower right after he wins the election. They have about 10 days afterward, they put a SCIF in there, sensitive compartmentalized information facility, basically a very, very classified setting where you can talk without the worry of being listened to by, spy devices, surveillance, all that stuff. Michael Rogers, the admiral who is in control, the head of the NSA, who we've shown you here on this channel before, went to Congress and said there were basically people who were abusing the FISA surveillance system, and this was obviously against the intent of that program. He said that basically verbatim in Congress, a part of his testimony saying that people were abusing it and that the queries that were being made into these super surveillance systems, the stuff of the NSA, the databases that they have, the metadatabases, that they were obviously politically motivated, and that's basically the insinuation that he makes, right? So he goes to President Trump in Trump Tower and tells him, hey, they're spying on you. This whole intelligence community is trying to set you up. They're trying to frame you as a Russian agent, and they're trying to enact a coup against the will of the democratic will of the American people. So President Trump, what does he do? He gets up and he leaves Trump Tower. The next day, moves his entire base of operations, I think, up to like Bedminster, New Jersey, where his golf course is. And that was the beginning of all this when President Trump, I think, made the complete realization that he was being spied on and that he was being set up, and that did that meeting happen with the Attorney General as well at the time? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I'm just putting it out there because I think it's an important little fact to kind of go into, given what Q has given us. And then finally, there's this phrase, rig for red, Q. So I heard from a few people on some of the boards, they were saying they were in the Navy and they know what rig for red means. It's a submarining term, or a term for people who go on submarines, I guess, or basically work on submarines. And rig for red is this. It means to ensure all interior lighting is red and of low intensity so as to preserve night vision. And so think about that. When you're in a submarine and they want your eyes not to adjust to a bright light, to keep your eyes adjusted to a dark light, why would they want to do that? Well, this article kind of explains it, and we'll talk about this, why they use red lights inside submarines, right? And it says, and we're going to jump right in here at the second paragraph, it says, the idea that red light diminishes the ability to see in the dark is a myth. In fact, the presence of red light helps the adjustment of vision. Not only submarines, but airport control towers, planetarium, and some movie theaters also use red light so that it is easier for the viewer's eyes to adjust from light to dark. The submarine crew needs to acclimate the eyes before going topside for the night watch. This vision adjustment is the primary reason for using red light. So what they're saying there is, when the soldiers or naval officers, whoever, go up to the top to do a night watch, in the pitch black dark, they have to be able to see. So if they go up and they have their periscope up and they're looking out, they don't want to be in a submarine where there's a bunch of bright lights, because then it'll make the dark that much darker when they look outside. It actually helps their eyes adjust to the nighttime. Then it also says one of the other reasons is to prevent light from being emitted from the raised periscope. Although blackout blind covers the periscope, yet there is still a risk of light being emitted from the other end of the periscope. This light can be seen for miles, and getting detected for a submarine could serve as havoc. So there are two reasons, obviously. Like, first it said to make sure that your eyes are adjusted to be able to see out at night. But then it says also you use the red light to make sure that nobody can see what you're doing, right? Now, what does this remind you of? Why would Q tell us rig for red? Well, I'll tell you, do you guys remember how everyone said that basically Jeff Sessions was moving stealthfully, that he was a part of a stealth move that President Trump was doing from the beginning to get these investigations going, to hire to appoint and place the right people to follow through on these investigations and bring people to justice for their crimes? This is, I think, Q telling us that they're rigged for red. That's what the 93 days of dark were about, right? You could easily say that they were basically rigged for red. They went dark so that they could see more clearly and not show their position to their enemies. Huh. Well, I think that's a fascinating take on it. Maybe you guys, if you have a different take or something to add, please go down in the comments and leave your thoughts. Now, a few more things before we go. This coming out of the conservative treehouse, pointing out the fact that Adam Schiff made a little bit of a Freudian slip here on Twitter today, saying that the efforts to intimidate or threaten witnesses will further build the case for obstruction. I want to read some excerpts from this article because it is genius the way they put this together. As they point out in this article, they're looking for a way to build a case for obstruction. That means, once again, there is no underlying crime. It's just like with the Russia thing. So they go after President Trump for a crime that he didn't commit, and when they can't find evidence of the crime, they try to, what? Go after President Trump for obstruction of justice when he's just trying to prove his innocence. So listen to this. No one is threatening or intimidating a witness. President Trump is asking questions about the credibility of the no longer anonymous whistleblower. However, no whistleblower has the right to be anonymous. Even the statute that protects whistleblowers only applies to retaliation. It is ridiculous to think whistleblowers can remain anonymous. That said, within the tweeted message from Adam Schiff, there is the indicator of exactly what all this investigative nonsense is designed to create: a case for obstruction. Just like the false accusations within the Trump-Russia collusion conspiracy narrative, the end goal of the Mueller team was actually obstruction. Indeed, after quickly discovering there was nothing to the collusion conspiracy, the Weissman-Mueller team spent the majority of their time and effort trying to construct an obstruction of justice charge. Now, we see the same process developing within Schiff's phony Ukraine quid pro quo investigation. There's no validity to the originating premise, so the investigative effort shifts toward building an obstruction impeachment charge. Do you see how these two are similar? The Ukraine and Russia hoax, they're both the same thing. They're trying to set President Trump up for this obstruction charge for trying to prove his own innocence. Goes on to talk about the fact that this impeachment approach highlights why the Judiciary Chairman, Jerry Nadler, and his contracted lawfare members, Barry Burke and Norm Eisen, are working diligently through the courts to gain access to the Mueller grand jury testimony. Because it goes on to talk about the fact that the entire Mueller grand jury and everything they did was based on trying to set President Trump for the obstruction charge. It's all a blockade. It's all to stall until the 2020 election. They're trying to undo the 2016 election and subvert and undermine the 2020 election with their lies and corrupt coup that continues to this day. I love this part here. It says, almost anything an innocent person does to defend themselves against the false accusations can be made to look like obstruction, especially if the highest executive in the country is the one who stands falsely accused. This approach is called lawfare. It's warfare using the law. It is not the way the law was meant to be or was intended to be used. And this is just another example of these, in my opinion, criminal actors coming and working to try to overthrow a duly elected, democratically elected government in the Trump administration. And then here are the names of all the people, the former Obama administration lawyers and the criminal defense attorneys, who are all working with Pelosi and Nadler and the rest. So these are the hyenas. These are the people who are coming, trying to undo the election and trying to push their coup. They're obviously the weaponized arm of the deep state. And here's President Trump commenting on Adam Schiff, which I think is perfect. It says, if Schiff the Adam Schiff, who is a corrupt politician who fraudulently made up what I said on the call is allowed to release transcripts of the Never Trumpers and others that are and were interviewed, he will change the words that were said to suit the Dems' purposes. Republicans should give their own transcripts of the interviews. To contrast with Schiff's manipulated propaganda, House Republicans must have nothing to do with Schiff's rendition of those interviews. He is a proven liar, leaker, and freak. Who is really the one who should be impeached. I couldn't have said it better myself. Sometimes I think President Trump just plucks these words right out of my head because they're just so accurate and they're exactly what need to be said. So, I mean, this is really the biggest problem, is that President Trump is calling it what it is. And, you know, forgive me, but I trust the President of the United States more than I trust the fake news and a bunch of lying politicians on Capitol Hill who obviously don't care about this country and only care about taking down President Trump. Because if they really cared about this country, they'd be doing things like, I don't know, making laws, passing things like the USMCA trade deal, doing things that would actually help this country, as opposed to trying to destroy it from within because they are being called out for their corruption and feckless inability to get anything done, or fecklessness and inability to get to do anything really. So look, that's what I think about this. And then, you know, you have these stories coming out now, which we've been talking about. Mary Fanning, Alan Jones, and the AmericanReport.org. We've been covering this story, but now it's coming out in the bigger mainstream, and they're talking about it more and more. That now John Brennan's saying, oh, well, we had a task force put together. So what is the point of this task force? The point of the task force is so that Brennan could spy domestically using the organizations like the FBI, the criminal FBI at the time that was being run by Obama administration and Comey. They were using the criminal FBI to spy on American citizens illegally. The clowns were running the whole show at the behest of Obama. They had already stolen the surveillance system, the super surveillance system, the Hammer, moved it to Fort Washington, where Dennis Montgomery helped Brennan and Clapper and the Obama administration basically weaponize it against the American people. And if you don't believe me, go check the AmericanReport.org. Mary Fanning, Alan Jones done great work covering all this. Also, I'll leave this article in the description if you guys want to go check that out as well. So never forget also, how does this all tie to this? Well, this is another one from 3 Days, 3 Nights. They've been doing a lot of great work, but they talk about this in this very interesting tweet saying, remember the Awan brothers from Pakistan had blackmailed virtually every Democrat. You know, the Awan brothers, the one who ran the DNC server. Today, Pakistanis are trying to overthrow their PM and their rigged election. When you look at the ISI logo, do you see Satan's goat head, Hussein vacation there before Harvard? Odd. Why? Yeah, it's almost impossible to understand why Hussein Barak would be in Pakistan vacationing. But then again, you know, Bernie Sanders takes a honeymoon to the USSR. So I don't know what these people are doing. They're flagrantly communist, anti-American, socialist, crazy people who took over our country. We're running it into the ground, and now we're slowly taking it back. And they obviously did things like worship Satan and other things that were very bad. They sold classified information. They enriched themselves. They helped human traffickers. They engaged. I mean, this is all the allegations that are out there. Some of them have been proven, some of them yet to be fully, but engaging in ritual sacrifice of humans, children sometimes, allegedly. So don't talk to me about, oh, you know, conspiracy this, conspiracy that. If even a fraction of the stuff that we're covering here is true, America should be so outraged that there should be people marching in the streets. But, you know, that's okay, because we're not trying to create a panic. We're just trying to bring justice. I think that'll be a good place to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks to everyone for watching. Remember to watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way, hit that subscribe button, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this stuff. Remember, be brave. Check out the Brave browser. You want to hear why you should download this? It's just like Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever. It's an internet browser, but it blocks ads. It's got a built-in VPN and Tor browser. And if you guys don't know what that means, it just means you can go on the internet and go to places anonymously and protect your identity. And you can block the ads that take up all the space and make it impossible to read your favorite websites. So please check it out. use the link in the description, download it, install it, and then run it and see how much you like it. And I guarantee once you guys start using it, you'll love it. You won't look back. Also, don't forget to check out RedPillLiving.com. Link in the description, RedPillLiving.com/JustInformed. Also check out or use the coupon code JustInformed to get 10% off your order. Remember, RedPillLiving.com for all of your supplements to keep yourself healthy. We got to stay healthy in order to keep fighting this battle. So go check out RedPillLiving.com today using the link in the description, coupon code JustInformed to get that discount. Also, I have a Twitter account, JustInformedU, the official Just Informed Talk Twitter page at JustInformed, the letter U. On Twitter, you can come over here. We can have a conversation. It's a great way to connect. Also, JustinformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, links to the Q stuff, different news websites, also breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel. This is a great place to go check out. So I encourage you all to go over there and give it a look if you want, and it'll give you all the information you need, a lot of great stuff to go with. And there's a couple other ways you can help out, both financial, Patreon, patreon.com, crowdfunding website, monthly donation. You set it and forget it. You know what's happening with YouTube. They've suppressed this content, taken away the monetization, doing everything I can to make sure that I keep this channel going. You guys helping is what keeps it alive. So your support is integral. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com. Links to that will be in the description. Links to everything will be in the description. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. That helps out the channel big time as well. But that's where I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Well, one more thing, I guess, is the most important part of the whole episode. It's a segment we do at the end of every episode called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, I want to talk about this verse out of the book of 1 Corinthians. And this is a very important verse to me. It talks about how I think we should all kind of look at ourselves in this day and age. It talks about being a faithful manager. I want to share this chapter 4, 1 Corinthians, verse 1 through 5. It says, a person should consider us in this way, as servants of Christ and managers of God's mysteries. In this regard, it is expected of managers that each one be found faithful. It is of little importance that I should be evaluated by you or by a human court. In fact, I don't even evaluate myself. For I am not conscious of anything against myself, but I am not justified by this. The one who evaluates me is the Lord. Therefore, don't judge anything prematurely before the Lord comes, who will both bring to light what is hidden in darkness and reveal the intentions of the hearts. And then praise will come to each one from God. I just want to say that this is an important message, and the message is that we all have to act as faithful managers. We all have to act as righteous men and women living a good life for God, an honest life, a faithful life. And even though it seems difficult at times and there's so much judgment and people want to bring us into the human court and people want to deride us for being Christians and having these principles of faith and righteousness and living by Christ's doctrine and the gospel. They want to try to deride us and put us down, but we only live for the judgment from above. And that's the message I want to leave with you guys, that God is going to come into the world, and when he does, he's going to bring to light what is hidden in darkness, and he's going to reveal the intentions inside of man's hearts. And this is the message that's so important. I think we need to share this with our friends, family, and loved ones, because that is the way to understanding how we faithfully manage our own existence so that we may honor God and help others. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode. Again, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell notifications and hit it, punch it, elbow it, tap it, bop it, whatever, twist it. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.